we'll get to the end of the call and then I'll say, oh yeah, I didn't even introduce myself, which sometimes happens. My name is Renee Quintana. I live in Colorado. I've been in the investor space for a little over a year. In my previous job, I was doing commercial lending and business banking. And so I have a little bit of experience in those two things. But I've always wanted to invest in properties. And once I found this space of, sober living, transitional housing, just recovery programs in general, that's when I really thought that, my heart is actually meeting my mission. And I feel like once we find those things, it really, it feels like you're doing really great work. So I know that, some of you can relate to that because we're in a space that we have an opportunity to do that. So without further ado, I wanted to thank you, Chris, for being willing to come on tonight and talk a little bit about what you do with H.E.A.R.T. And just, you and I met at, was it the Golden? Yeah, it was the Golden Ticket, I think, in Arizona. Is that right?
Was it the second one?
Just the one last year in October, I think.
Oh, that was the most recent one then.
Yeah, the most recent one.
Okay, I felt like I'd known you longer. It's so weird.
I know it does seem like a longer time. But Chris is a great resource. And, I just have to say that when I saw you there compared to what you're doing now, I feel like, I don't know, something just hit overdrive. And so I'm excited to talk to you more about how you went from that one property that you had that we talked about when I met you to, what you're up to. It looks like you guys have 3 properties now, but do you want to kind of talk a little bit about H.E.A.R.T. and, what you do in general?
Yes. First, mic check. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. I would hate to move my mouth and nothing come out. Not the goal. So yes, we have 3 houses right now, and we have a 4th one right now that Jen brought up a second ago that's behind me. Actually, we were able to convert a 1-2 in the back into an office, which is amazing. So we're gonna expand it. So we actually have the building out there. So we have 3 houses, and we were about to start buying more, like 2 more. We were ready for it. But we looked back. I looked back, and I was like, yo, we need to pour into these men. We need to stop buying houses and we need to focus on the gentlemen in the houses. Because this is not just our reputation. Scratch all that. Like we're pouring into, to be poured into, So for that to happen, we got to be able to be there for them. Everything I'm saying actually does back our brand called H.E.A.R.T. That's our foundation that we will be creating into a nonprofit. And we have this awesome CPA. Well, we're actually interviewing a few CPAs because we want someone that specializes in Texas for all those tax breaks and stuff. But the nonprofit, we really need to get that going. That's really important, y'all. I recommend, I have 3 houses, could have bought more, but through that haul, we were able to fully fill our houses. So our houses were stuck at the 3 to 5 mark. They can fit, 8 to 12 people average. So let's see, Haven Valley is the green one on the top. I don't know if you're sharing your screen to everybody, but there is a flyer in front of me, and the top one called Haven Valley is in Leon Valley in San Antonio. It's valued almost 400,000. It was brought to me by a sub-2 student, Alma Guerrero. I didn't mess up your last name, but she's phenomenal. We were just linked up. One thing, another thing, conversation led to physical property. We went over there. She had it listed. She was having trouble selling it, so we were able to pay off the home equity line of credit or something like that, and actually do this seller finance. It was an awesome deal, one of the best deals. Our private money partner came in, 100 grand. We were able to put in holding costs in the bank. We were able to furnish it the right way. We were able to keep everything going, and it has a pull in the back, get that full sparkly blue from like disgusting green, and it's just such a phenomenal. People walk in there and you're invigorated. It's just like, but you know what? They had trouble selling it because there was like 4 different tiles and there was like different colors. And I'm like, dude, this is paradise to me. But to, I guess, the average consumer, nah, they would want to tear it out. But they custom a lot of the finished trim. So Serenity Stage is one of our smaller houses as far as people. I think like 10 people in there. It's 1,900 square feet. Me and my buddy Eric Ramirez, he's on my organization. We painted that whole thing by hand. We rolled that baby. Yes, we rolled 1,900 square feet, and we will never do it again. But it was a great experience. So it's just learning. Golden Gate was the first house, the bottom left. That's in the northwest side by UTSA, which is a college in San Antonio, University of Texas. So or University of San Antonio, I'm sorry. Um, and that one holds a lower amount of people, and the pity is a little high. It's like 2,300 a month, but it's in such a great area. You can do, MTR, you can do student housing, we can do anything, but we chose sober living. So a lot of these houses, yes, we could have moved into them ourselves. All of them are seller financed except for the last one actually is a sub two. I prefer recommending people to, unless you have the value, like good connections in sub two or aware, like attorneys, not just like talk, but people that do, for sub twos because seller finance is just easier. Just find someone that needs help, offer them value, create a note, and then learn how to open up a sober living or a co-living or an MCR. Because once you got that mortgage on your hand, that's like a responsibility to pay and keep their credit up. So a little bit about me and those three houses. Heart is what a combination of what me, Jennifer, and Eric Ramirez created. We wanted something that was an acronym that we could spell out our core values and like define something that's meaningful to us. So heart, each letter stands for heroes entering a renewed temple. So heroes entering a renewed temple. It's a depiction of a lot of things, because these folks that are recovering, or people that are disabled, like they're going through a lot, and they're renewing themselves through a renewed temple is how we vision it. It's like being reborn again almost and learning all the way from scratch. So these men wear a big red cape to us. And then our core values is the acronym as well. It's a hope, encouragement, accountability, and transformation. So it's literally a walk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So hope, encouragement through accountability with the relentless pursuit equals transformation. So that's kind of like the whole breakdown of our organization. And we in turn are looking forward to creating that through a nonprofit with the correct business structure so that we could create a series LLC to own all these houses with our lenders that join us, our partners that join us. So we share equity. They would have equity on that series LLC, and then we have an operating LLC up here that operates the actual moving business, the moving parts, so that if it gets sued, it's just a filter. This money goes to boom, and then they won't take the house down with it if that happens because y'all, this is a big liability. Like these people were on drugs, and you know what I mean? It's just like you never know what can happen. Like literally, you think somebody is something, and then you find out the next day that it's not all what it seemed. So you got to be prepared, protect yourself, so that and especially insurance. Y'all want to protect yourselves with solid insurance. It might cost 150 a month, but at least like you're protected with commercial insurance. Yeah.
So Chris,
Cool.
sorry to interrupt you, wanted to clarify something. So your current business is functioning just as like H.E.A.R.T, or you have like an LLC that currently is the operator of all of these properties? Is that how you have it currently?
Right. So right now we started out in a way where we kind of just failing forwards. Right now our structure is still, so in the next month or two, it may not be the same. Everything that I mentioned is the way that it should be happening, through consultations and just communicating with CPAs and folks that are, you know, really well out in this situation, as far as knowledge, as far as business structure and tax breaks and all that. So we haven't done that. So currently right now, each LLC owns the house and then the money goes to that LLC to that bank account. That's how we structure it right now, but that's not necessarily the best way to do it. Because we were moving so quick, like a freight train, because when you find your purpose, right? Like first we're doing wholesaling, right? We're over here trying to find problems, figure out how to underwrite it, and sell it to the next guy in line, or possibly take it on yourself. But as a flip. But I mean, really, the purpose isn't really there other than to feed your family. But once you shift it from I'll just say it as in my perspective, after I shift it from me to you, right? I want to serve a certain space, then it's almost like real estate with a purpose. It's like you're still working real estate, but now you're helping out not just your lenders, not just the person that sold you the home, not just your partners involved, but also the people in the community, whether it's co-living, um, people that in addiction or disabled adults, the folks that need a house and maybe their family needs, to put them somewhere, or even like adults, that are still able to take care of themselves, but they're elderly, they need community as well. So once you focus and you find your purpose and you just pour into it, the real estate is the easy part, right? Now you have a totally different line of problems because you just upped your tier of value. Now you have a purpose and you're serving that value. And sometimes you're gonna find out there's a whole lot of other things outside of the world than learning how to obtain real estate, because seller finance sub two, that's the easy part. Hey, you got a deal? Oh, you got a deal? Let's underwrite it. You got money? Okay, let's put it together. Okay, now how are you making this work? So that's kind of what I've enjoyed learning, how to make it work. And it turns out every single time you open your mind to something new, become a student, right? Humbly become a student and just allow new opportunities to come your way. It's just amazing the things that can happen. Like one day to the next can change if you're open to new things, you know.
Yeah, I love how you talk about, find that niche, because that's something that I always talk about, like whenever I do my interviews or calls or Zoom calls, is that, once you find that group of people that you want to serve, I think it becomes a lot easier, just like what you're talking about, because you can focus on that one population. And you even mentioned it earlier, how you were saying, let's pour back into these men that are already in our houses, because that's where your passion is. It's not to the fact that you're like, okay, let me get 100 doors, operating as sober living. You want to actually be effective in the services that you're providing.
Correct. So currently, right now, we were for a while trying to fix some management things, right? There's people that run our homes that they still have their own brain. You know, a lot of these managers or general manager that we took on, thank you, John, if you're listening to this, for managing our team and all the managers that are on the team currently. But we're all human, and they're addicts. They're recovering addicts. They'll tell you bluntly, Chris, I'm not like you. I'm a recovering addict. We're not the same. We'll never be the same. And I'm like, okay, cool. But still, we're all equal, right? We gotta see where they're coming from and provide value, but still lay it down. So let me say here, in my seat right now, we're trying to make, which we achieved, allowing the managers to manage the houses, and the general manager to manage them, and not micromanaging, so that we don't have like boots being stepped on. You know what I mean? But it's very difficult to get that point because they got to understand where we need to be, what cap we need to meet each month. Because I'm not only operating this, and I'm not only a homeowner currently. So right now they're operating it for us, but I'm not only doing that, and then a team member as well in the organization, but I'm also protecting other people's savings that they give me to provide to the community. So that's something I will get hardcore in, like through trial and error. We need to protect their savings with our life, more important than ours. You give me 100 grand, it's my goal to make sure there's enough money in the savings account to hold that house afloat. Everything that needs to happen needs to be progressive. There's no accidents in this field. So really, really, before anything, just study what you're doing, right? Connect with people like me, like Jen, like you, that understand, how to get started, because you don't want to like borrow someone's money and put it at risk. And then the house sits there for 6 months. I'm giving you real stories when people call me all the time. 6 months, I can't get one person in it. Oh, this person did this, and now I have nobody. And it's like, come on, let's really, really protect their money, like as if our back's against the wall. So there's multiple hats that need to be worn. But once everything is good, once everyone's on the same page, no one's stepping on Jen's heels, no one's stepping on my boots, I'm not stepping on my management. Now it's just optimizing the current processes and systems that are in place. right? Making sure the contracts are signed properly, people are getting interviewed, and we're reaching out to recovery centers, we're reaching out to other house owners, we're reaching out to other homes. We're going in groups, going to in-person meetups, shaking their hands, people all around San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, Houston. And then what happens is you're able to, which is what I do, which I've done recently, send people to them. So yeah, you think like, oh, I want people, right? I want people. Well, you know what? The best way to get people is by sending people to other people, because now you have an internal network, because people sometimes leave, individuals, members leave with a balance, and we got to protect it. Remember, we got to make sure that the ROI is coming in. So we really need to protect that. And if they leave, right, you want all the houses to be on your side. They go to your house. Well, I would hope that Renee calls me saying, "Hey, Jordan just moved into my house. Does he owe you something?" Or he said he came from your house and he owes you $1,000. Yeah, well, he's on a financial contract. He's supposed to pay me $50 a week until it's gone. Oh, okay, cool. All right, thanks for telling me. So now we can hold each other accountable, because this isn't a charity. It isn't a charity, y'all. And I know it's hard to say because of where I stand and where my heart's at, but I'm protecting your money. At the same time, I'm pouring unto the people in the community, so it's just something that I've really had to take more seriously every day. And I just have so many people calling me, messaging me, asking me for help for the same things. So I just wanted to highlight that stuff. If you're gonna do the Oxford method, let me just explain that method. The Oxford method, if everyone knows or doesn't know, it's where there's no house manager, there's no account. It's really just the managers are appointed a role. Treasurer, the person in charge of the house, like there's like 3 or 4 different roles. The person that writes the chores, unless you're gonna do it, it's pretty much no house manager. We do level 2, which is where we have a house manager. That was level 1. We have a house manager in there. We have house rules. We have a house contract, and we even have a house manager contract. And then we have a general manager contract as an independent contractor, so that they can help find us new managers if they want to leave, or if we want to expand, or if you want to open a house here, I can refer that to you. So it's just really important to have contingencies in this field, because a lot of it could be really unstable if you're not prepped up really well. And I find that there's not too much education in this, and really it's a fail forward business. Really, really, because when you're in it, you're busy. You're busy, busy, busy trying to figure out how to get over hurdles, fix this, fix that, furnish this, furnish that, supply this. So yeah, before getting too much into it, I have a lot of stuff I want to say, but that's where we'll start.
I know you have so much good information. So one of the things that I know people think about, well, I just want to make a distinction real quick too, because as you were talking, the houses that you guys operate, you actually own, or the business owns. So Chris's model is owner and operator of these houses, whereas there's also other, models where you could own a property and then lease it to a program like Chris's program. But some programs for sober living don't necessarily want to lease the property; they just want to own them. So it really just depends on the program and what their capacity is. I know here in Colorado, there's some group home operators, some sober living operators who own a few of them and lease a few of them. So it just kind of depends on what they're able to, go with. So tell me, why did you decide that you wanted to be like owner and operator?
So, like I said from the beginning, it's a fail forwards thing. You don't know what you don't know. It's one of my favorite comments to say, because it's so true. You don't know what you don't know, and you got to be aware of what you don't know so you can figure it out, right? So it's kind of a weird circle. I started because of Jennifer. I had a house. I wanted to do MTR. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. It wasn't working. I wanted to wrap around it. It was a bad time in the market last year. So I called Jennifer, and she said, "Well, I have 2 houses here," and she showed me the model. I duplicated the model. She did it for free. She just helped me, and I helped her, right, with certain things as well. So it's a trade of value. So I heard about it before she told me about it, and then just so happened I mentioned it on a call with her, a collaborative call, And it just, that conversation before our call, and then boom, it was like, okay, this is feasible. She has the model, she has the blueprint. I have a house. I'm finishing the flooring. I'm finishing this. I'm finishing that. This is perfect time. So after doing research, I was like, okay, let me meet John Russell. John Russell is our general manager for all of our house managers.
Actually, hold on, Chris. Hold on. Back up a little bit, okay? I almost died. So this is actually how Chris became an operator, okay?
Yeah,
And he
coach.
was failing forward. So I almost died in December when me and Chris hooked up. I caught COVID, and I was in ICU for 4 days. I was in the hospital, and I hooked him up with my guy who gave me the blueprint over there in San Antonio, which is John Russell. So that's how he got introduced to John Russell, and I had literally the whole blueprint, the contracts. I've been vetted in the community with the sober living space. That's how I had those 2 homes there in Corpus Christi, and so we just moved into the San Antonio market. But yeah, we Chris got introduced to John because I literally was in the hospital almost dying, and he picked up where I lacked, well, where I was, not
Yeah,
able to do that.
that's the full story. Thank you, Jen, for dropping in. So pretty much she ended up, I am moving pretty fast, like because I'm trying to do it for the sake of time. But she did end up catching COVID right after she started talking about the model. So I had to literally pick up and figure it out, right? Like there was zero communication with her for over a month almost. And I'm so glad that you were able to recover.
Yeah.
But because I was
Thank
able
you.
to, yeah, of course. So because of Jen, I was able to actually exfoliate my mind, and let's just say expose my mind to the idea of this, period. She referred me to John Russell, which taught her about the model in San Antonio because he was a leader in a successful house. And literally like I met him at the house and I just asked him all the questions I would hope that y'all would ask someone in my situation. And my first question was, what makes a house fail? I didn't care about all the other stuff. I know how to furnish a house. I know how to do this and that. But I wanted to learn personally what makes a house fail and what makes the house succeed. Because I need to know this so that I can stay away from certain things. And he told me, really, it's house management. You got to have good operations, right? Solid operations. And you just got to keep marketing. And you got to understand it could take 6 months, 12 months for you to actually have a well-oiled machine where it's actually chugging along without you pouring coal, and it's sometimes you're going to be pouring coal. What I mean by that is expending your own bank account to actually foresee it. That's why it's very important. When I raise some funds for a deal, which happens every day, I'm actually doing it right now. Whenever I raise funds for a deal, I make sure I'm raising enough for holding costs, 3 to 5 months minimum, minimum. And normally it's more, it's 6 months or more. Because I want to make sure I have enough time to go through all the ups and the downs and the waves and the losses and people relapsing and people not relapsing, people doing crazy things and not having to be taken off being knocked off, you know. Because at this point it started with Bluestone, and it was pretty much just me failing forwards, y'all, like literally expending out of my own pocket, to
But also, you got to remember, it wasn't the exit strategy of a sober living. You were going to do something else, and you ended up changing it to a sober living. So you didn't have the reserves in the bank because the exit strategy was different. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And after but luckily, God willing, like the way God serves me is He like literally provides me every moment. I give myself every inch of myself, and then he just gets me. So I would get an assignment fee, boom, 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 and then boom, it's gone. I had to get a connector fee, boom, it's gone. But through all this, I was able to provide a beautiful home to these fantastic gentlemen that have been in this home since it opened in January 1st. It's pretty much full now. There's one empty bed in that house, but it's just wonderful walking in that house and watching them go from dirty, tan, scraggly to like bright, like how we are right now on the call. It's like watching and mind you, they're normal people like us in my eyes. They have a nice job at some point. They have a nice car, a nice house. They have a nice dog, a nice wife, and maybe they were in the military and served the Green Beret or something, and then they end up falling off or they see too many of their friends get blown up and they come back and they start shooting up heroin in their neck and they have like no other way to escape these feelings, right? And then they ask for help. You know, they ask for help, and then that's us when we come in and we're like, here, we're here to help you. We have a house, we have a structure, and typically it's 150 to 190 a bed per week, and it's not that crazy. Like we're trying to offer affordable housing, right? So we try to make it fair, you know, and really for a house, you know, as investors, as a house, like maybe, and sorry, Renee, I saw you were trying to talk. For a house, it's really like putting 3 to 2 beds and, you know, getting 10 to 13, 14 people in a house, like that's phenomenal for any kind of like, you know, transitional housing or group housing. Like, you know, normally if you do Section 8, you know, it's consecutive, but it's limited. Co-living maybe the same, you know. So this one we're able to put like the master 3, that bedroom 2, this bedroom 2, this one 2, and we'll give a house manager their own room so that they can have their own privacy and put a lock on their door so they can have money in there and have, you know, be able to run the house for us.
So one of my questions was, because you mentioned it a couple of times, but where do you find people to fill your homes? Because I think that that's kind of somebody's, you know, as the owner operator, that's something that you have to deal with, is actually filling the home. So can you tell us a little bit about how you find people?
I would love to. I'm first going to start with something so it doesn't slip my mind. The managers can't be forgotten. I'm not sure if all people run this way. I hope they do, but I'm blessed to have awesome house managers, like rock star house managers. So these managers market for me, like they market for us. They are in the community. They are active, you know, recovering addicts. They carpool to meetings often, several times a day sometimes, and they market. People call them, hey, you know, hey, or hey, you know, hey, I got this guy, or I'll get them organically because I'm a deal finder. I naturally attract, you know, like things like this, especially when my mind's locked on something, it just grows right next to me, you know, so I'm able to harvest that, give a quick interview, and then pass it to my general manager or the selective house manager that they fit better in. So it could just be great grassroots. Two of them came yesterday on Facebook. One guy saw my Facebook post and he needed a place to live. So we're interviewing him at 8 o'clock today. So I'm sorry if I'm late, brother. And then we also have we also have another one, but it was a woman. So I don't have female houses yet. So we took it on and I interviewed her. I saw she was a great woman, a great human being. So I called Jennifer. I said, hey, Jennifer, will you call SARC, which is San Antonio Recovery One, Center for Women. She has treatment centers and awesome homes. She was one of the first woman homes in San Antonio. So we call her up because there's no mess up with her. Hey, Susan, you know, we have somebody that's highly qualified. Would you like, so we're passing it, we're sharing through the community, you know, people like that, and they do the same to us. So I hope that helps on a basic level here.
I was gonna say that and vice versa.
Yeah, just a basic level of understanding as far as how we receive people. It's all just like stuff too, it's just like real estate. There's meetups, there's recovery centers you can call. There is other owners that you can make friends with and collab with. There's Facebook groups. There's the Nextdoor app where you can organically find people. You know, all these things lead to people knowing that they're aware that you have a home. If someone doesn't know you have a home, then how are they ever going to send you something? Right. So
Mhm.
you just put it out there. Hey, I own 3 homes here in San Antonio and I'm looking for some awesome people, you know, to move into them. Just talk about it. And then people will start reaching out to you for starters, just like real
Yeah.
estate.
It sounds like you guys have a great community too in San Antonio, because that's super helpful, is to have those connections, like you said. Um, Another thing that I was kind of just I was looking into this earlier today, because I was looking for some other homes in Texas and ran across the certification program. So there's a national certification program called National Association for Recovery Residences. And they list, if you go to their website, they list all of the different subsidiaries that are within each state. And so the one that's in Texas is called TROHN, TROHN. It stands for Texas Recovery Oriented Housing Network. And so I was just kind of curious, because I know I've asked you this question, but maybe you can tell us a little bit about certification, whether, you already kind of talked about Oxford, they're level 1, whereas you guys are more of a level 2. Tell me more about that, because, every state has a certification program, I think, and it's just good to know.
Absolutely, great question. I think that's phenomenal. So I have the answer to you to that question on a basic level. Jennifer has probably a little more of in depth, but I can say that there's levels to this game, y'all. There's 4 levels to be specific. The 4th one is as big as a hospital. Then you have level 3, which is a little smaller, but it's still very large. Like 20 people plus. So it can become very large. And then you have level 2, which is me, where you have a house manager. So like the level 3 and 4 have staff, so there's levels to that and certifications. Me, I do not have a certification nor my license. I'm just a private owner, a private house, right? But it doesn't mean that you can't have your peer specialist on the team that actually takes care of each individual person, make sure that they're doing all right mentally. You can have someone that's passionate in that field, get certified. The certification is not necessary, but what it does is raise your credibility within the community, and it also raises awareness. So Jennifer, are you on? Do you have an answer to that?
Actually,
No?
Chris, you hit the hammer on the nail. You got it right. That's and it's NAR and through Tron. We actually, I know there's a gentleman that is in my network. I've been networking with him in the sober living community for about 2 years now. His name is Ben Hammond. He is actually at a level 4, and he's on the board of Tron, which is the NAR certification with what is Chris is talking about.
Okay, awesome. And I put that website in the chat also. I know Rocio is in San Antonio, but I'm not sure if Bianca, I'm not sure where you're located, but yeah, if that is helpful for Texas, then that's something that is good to look into as well.
Actually, Rocio's in New Braunfels, just to be specific, because it's kind of outside. It's a whole nother market up there. Nice homes, great area, a lot more assisted living and the sober living. So let me also say this. If you're marketing to buy a sober living or even a co-living for that matter, and this will benefit MTR or anything like that. I have 2 things I want to mention, but one is you want to be near meeting centers where they have meetings. Okay, like they have the AA meetings, the NA, Narcotics Anonymous meetings. You want to be near there because a lot of folks that come into this field, sometimes they're sentenced by the judge that they have to complete a program, which is our program, right? So they need access to those meetings, a convenience to those meetings, which it turns out you just want to be like near good transit, near a lot of jobs, right? Like just organic jobs where they can walk down the street, and try to get a job. Yeah, you want to have a good area that's centralized and near Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous, which is great because these houses should be over 1,900 square feet minimal. So if you ever did need to pivot during a hurricane, you're able to actually do co-living or MTR or you put sprinklers in and do an RAL or you can pivot very easily. There's like 4 or 5, anything that has to do with good transit, you can go to, you know.
Yeah,
And
that's
then,
huge. That's a great point. Thank you for mentioning that.
yes, ma'am. And then the second thing is this is all stuff I've discovered. You want to make sure your zoning is right because a lot of these zonings, I know Florida is different, but as far as San Antonio, R6 zoning only allows a certain amount of people, 6 to 7 people, occupants in the house, right? So, it's not to be discriminated against with the Federal Housing Act or whatnot. Well, that's great. But if a neighbor calls you out, you may have a situation on your hands, right? So you really want to look into the zonings and weigh the pros and the cons to opening up one of these homes. I mean, we haven't had any issues at all. All of our houses, the neighborhood loves us, but Lo and behold, the most expensive house we have the most ridiculous things happen, and the neighbors love me. And I mean, such a great impression. The HOA knocked on our door and said, "You're welcome to have a sober living here. It's great to have you here. Just please cut that tree over there." And we're like, "All right,
Wow,
cool."
that's great.
Hey, we got a man relapse with his shirt off in the front of this, in front of the house, and then we have this and that going on, and it's like, y'all, like, I just like build rapport with the HOA, but it's just
Yeah, I
be
think
a
you're brave to even enter to have a house inside of a place, like a neighborhood that has an HOA, because I think a lot of people are hesitant to do that, even though the people that you're serving are protected under the ADA laws. But when you're it's just an extra thing that you don't really always want to deal with. So that's good to know.
Renee, can I chime in on that real quick?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
I love the fact that you said the ADA laws because I've been exploring this with Chris, right? Because I have paid into the group home riches business model. And we do have a lot of those legal documents where we can actually have more people in a property because of the ADA laws versus, what zoning says because of the laws that back it. So we have this one property with the Laurel we wanted to do the sober living with, right? But with zoning, it says we're only able to occupy 16. But if you could advise, well, give me your opinion, right? In regards to occupying more than 16 people because backing the ADA laws backs what we're doing. What is your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are Chris's.
well, my personal on that is it all comes down to what we said earlier. You got to be good with what you're doing. You got to make sure that the environment is clean and there's not a lot of issues going on, because if you're going to get called out, if someone like my partner Eric Ramirez is really good at painting pictures, right? So he explained, what if someone runs out of the house and gets hit by a car? Someone's like, "Ah!" Okay, boom, their family is going to be looking for you. Well, there's the possibility that their family is going to come looking for you. Why did you let him run out of the building like that? Why didn't you stop him? And then you got a lawsuit, and then they know you have money and you own a $2 million building. They're like, oh, so what's going on? So it's really just being able to weigh your risk tolerance, and also how well is your operations and all that. Like, you just want to be very smart and protect yourself. So that's my opinion, because these are real properties, and this is real money that bought this property. $150,000 down. That's a lot of money for a down payment. That's nothing to play with. So, like, are you willing to put that, or are you just going to stay at the 16, so that if someone gets run over and sue you, you're not being like, you got all these red flags.
Yeah, and I'll add to that too, because I know if you do get a NAR certification through your state, then that can be another source of defense for you, for your business, because they certainly will go to bat for you and really help you in some of those really tricky situations. So that's what certification can help with, is to be able to be a little bit more prepared for that type of thing. So
Right. Or have someone on your team that has it, right? It doesn't have to happen today, but it's something to look forward to, which is always a great thing, right? So, like,
yeah.
there's something I really want to implement in our houses, and it's going to happen very soon. It's already attracted to us. Is a peer support specialist, which is where they actually look at each individual person to make sure that they're okay, support the peers, peer support, and also, like, help them with all the things that they may need help with. That right there, that gentleman can be certified, right, under your organization. So it's just something, just to look forward to, and it does raise your credibility in this field, right? People look at you when you are marketing or promoting your property. Yeah, we're not certified. All right, what's up? Yeah, we do. What's that called again? The MAT. There's different names for it, but MAT program. Are y'all aware of that? The MAT program?
I just had that explained to me today, but go ahead and explain it. It
Yeah,
stands for medical assisted therapy or something, or treatment, I think.
yeah, and there's different ones like MAR, I believe what it is, and it's just the same thing. but really it's where they got to monitor. So they're on like different medications that are helping them wean off of hard drugs. So these are real drugs. So if someone in the house gets their hands on those real drugs, they can pretty much get messed up. You know what I mean? And that's like not going to work. So the manager has a higher responsibility. It may not be a lot of work to us, but they have to every week count their meds with them, and they cannot touch the meds. So that's MAT. It's an extra amenity, right? Yes, we serve MAT. We serve MAT patients. We're MAT certified. So that means that you're able to like actually house people with Suboxone that are coming off heroin, and all the different drugs. Now we don't do methadone. We don't do all those other ones. We do Suboxone, right? That's something maybe Jennifer knows more about, but I know that we only do Suboxone, which is heroin and stuff like that. It blocks the brain receptors so they don't feel, they feel okay, but they're not high or whatever, but they can get through it, without like having a seizure or something. Yeah, it's pretty
Okay.
cool. Those ones are actually really good clients. Those are really good individuals because they stick with you. You think, oh, they come from heroin field that they're gonna fall off, right? But actually, these people are really motivated, and they're on this drug that they're trying to wean themselves off of. So it's just something that another group, individual niche that you can pour into, so you can get NAR certified, be MAT certified, or have MAT accessibility, so that you can interview people that need more help than the average recovery AA or NA person.
Yeah, absolutely. So I asked if anybody has questions, which if you do have questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. But Robert had asked if you could go over what HEART stands for again.
I would love to. So that was Robert. Hey Robert. So pretty much it stands for Heroes Entering a Renewed Temple. It's something. Hey Robert.
I think you've got a home run.
Oh, you're a home run.
No, that is I've got over 39 years, so I have very good memories of. I'm low bottom, but anyway, I don't want to go on and on, but I love it. I love it. Thanks.
Thank you, Robert. We created this together. We specifically wanted it to be a shared objective for everyone to come up. So we all came together on a Zoom. We just started pouring names, like what did we believe in? What is, similarities? And then we ended up coming up with a few, each one, and we just put them together. And then we created this acronym called Heroes Entering a Renewed Temple that goes way deeper than just the words. It's the meaning behind it. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Absolutely. That is the end result of the 12 steps.
Yes.
It's my personal belief, and it's the ability to weave the most outrageous group of people into a unified whole if they keep coming back. And yeah, it's just awesome.
So you mentioned unity. So our houses are structured with unity in mind, but it has a lot of structure. We have structure, but we need unity, right? The houses need core values. This turns out to be a brotherhood, right? So that's what helps them get through it. But then hardcore structure, like they need to wash their dishes and dry them. Yes, I can put a dishwasher in there, but then that takes away from the responsibility of washing your dishes. And you know what happens? It actually makes me wash my dishes. I'm at home, I'm like, you know what? Like, I tell these guys to wash their dishes, but it's kind of
I lived in a group home in Escondido, California. That was 85, about 60 guys, and there was a ladies' house next door. But yeah, and I was there a year. It was recommended to stay there 6 months, but I was low bottom, so they let me stay another 6. But I saw 2 guys die there. One guy, he was an heir of the OP sports family, and the other guy was a surfer. Both really, really neat guys. But like I say, I've got memories, and it's just so important that that this keeps happening.
right. And you saw the impact it had on your life, and you just met these gentlemen for a year. you know, or less, and it literally left something for a lifelong, like a whole walk of your life. You're thinking about them most likely. You know, they're with you because they're your good friends, your recovery buddies.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's from ground level point of view. This is the stuff that we're.
Oop, he froze up.
Oh, praise the Lord. Hello.
He's frozen. Oh, there you are again.
Okay.
You came back.
Am I frozen?
Yeah.
Yeah, you froze for a minute.
Yeah, you're a human being, but technology is still alive.
Mhm. Robert, thank you for sharing that story. We really appreciate that and making that connection because it makes a lot of sense.
Well, that's, if I can just briefly say, that's why I feel this facility in Southwest Missouri has been up there 7 or 8 months. I think he's come down about $100,000 or so, actually. But I think it's sad to see it unoccupied. And it's built to help people. It's got 60 rooms, and each room has 2 beds in it. So, and then plus the satellite home. So, from a business standpoint, like I was briefly saying before, if someone can get the right staff in there, and they have, and that's what they don't understand that.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, certainly if anybody on this call is interested, I know that Robert posted the Craigslist ad, so you guys can check it out. It's in the chat. But you know, I just, Chris, it's already time, so I know time flies when we're having fun and talking about all this stuff. So there's so much more that we could talk about and ask you about. And Jennifer, super helpful that you were here to chime in, and you know, your expertise is certainly appreciated as well. Chris, can you tell everybody how you can, you're welcome. Tell everybody how we can connect with you. And you know, I know your phone number is on your picture, so that's easy, but is there any other way that you want people to connect with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
like we, yeah, it's okay. Jennifer's like you know, she's like, oh, you know, but that's why I love having her on my team. So pretty much the best way to reach out to us is just find me on Facebook. It's my middle name is Robert, so you just Chris R. Colton. You know, you can find me on Facebook. Just reach out, send me a text if you can see it on the thing, and we also have calendar links and stuff like that. But I mean, just reach out to us on Facebook. You got Jennifer Brown, and then you got Chris Colton, Chris R. Colton.
I'm actually putting my email in the chat, so if anybody needs to email me, my email will be there as well. So
Okay, great. Thanks, Jennifer. We appreciate it. And
absolutely.
you know, yeah, and we, you know, maybe we can continue the conversation later if we have more questions, but definitely if you guys want to connect with Chris or Jennifer, please do that. And thank you again for your time today, Chris, and Jennifer to be on as well. So really appreciate you guys and the work that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
You're welcome. We'll see you next time. Take care.